for joining me to learn more about culturally responsive instruction. My name is Renae Azziz, and I'm a National Professional Development Trainer and CEO of Virtuoso Education Consulting. I'm glad that you're interested in learning more about how to use culturally responsive instruction to meet the needs of the students in your classroom. Being responsive to a student's culture is essential to learning. Our cultures affect how we communicate, interpret, and process information, and interact socially. Yet the role of culture on learning and behavior is often overlooked as educators find ways to manage all the things they have to manage, like meeting AYP goals and implementing best practice strategies and assessing the learning of all students. However, if educators are to be successful in ensuring that students move from proficiency to mastery across content areas, I really believe we must begin to take a critical look at our implementation of culturally responsive instruction. Now, culturally responsive teaching is a pedagogy that recognizes the importance of using students' cultural backgrounds in all aspects of learning. Teachers who use culturally responsive instructional strategies recognize the cultural strengths and experiences that kids bring, and they use that knowledge to support students in mastering new information. Research indicates that implementation of culturally responsive instruction benefits all students, since all students belong to at least one culture. Further, culturally responsive teaching helps to bridge different ways in which students learn, and its use specifically engages students from non-dominant cultures in demonstrating their proficiencies. As I work with educators across the country, I'm often asked to provide educators with just a list, a set of strategies that they can implement with specific cultural groups, some specific strategies that they can implement to use with students according to their culture, right? Kind of a checklist. Unfortunately, no such checklist exists. In fact, this way of thinking about culturally responsive instruction is really contrary to the core definition of culturally responsive instruction. Why is that? Well, I like to use this analogy. Culture is to humans as water is to fish. We all have a culture. Everyone on this planet does. It's our environment. Our culture is all around us. It's a part of who we are, and it affects how we communicate, how we behave, how we interact socially, and of course, how we learn. So given this, we can't think of addressing culture in our instruction as an add-on. Instead, as educators, we must fine-tune our lenses, or the way in which we see the world, to account for the multiple perspectives that kids bring to our classrooms. When we're able to accomplish this task, our instruction becomes relevant to the needs of all students in our classrooms. Now, becoming culturally responsive is very much a developmental process. I really think it includes engaging in conversations about race, poverty, equity. It also requires you, however, to reflect on your own culture and your own beliefs and gain awareness of other cultures. Gaining the skills needed to become culturally responsive requires one to move through what I like to define as 5 essential steps. That first step is all about self-awareness. Investigate, what cultural groups do you identify with? What are your values, beliefs, ways of communication? The second step is to think about cultural awareness of other groups. How do you interpret the behaviors, beliefs, values of groups that are different from those cultural groups that you identify with? Are you aware of any biases or prejudices toward other cultural groups? Remember, we all have them, but being aware of them helps us combat those biases and prejudices. Step 3 is about gaining cultural knowledge. Are you knowledgeable about communication and conflict styles of different cultural groups and the implications of those differences and how that might affect educational outcomes? For example, how many of you know about the response style of back channeling, let's say? Back-channeling is a communication style often seen in African American culture in which the listener lets the speaker know that they're listening and engaged by offering frequent interjections like, yeah, that's right, or that's like when, or my mama said. Without knowledge of specific cultural characteristics like this one, as educators, we might quickly misinterpret back channeling for disruption in the classroom, when in fact, back channeling is a way, again, for kids to let us know that they're listening. Step 4 is about developing cultural skill. Do you have the skills needed to work effectively across cultures? Are you knowledgeable of best practice strategies for supporting students to develop what they know or to demonstrate what they know in multiple ways? And finally, step 5 is all about action. Do you actively change your perspective and your behavior in order to adapt to the setting that you're in? In other words, do you apply a cultural lens to interpret your environment that, again, includes multiple perspectives? Or do you apply your own personal values and beliefs and then expect others to kind of conform to those expectations? Once we've got a better understanding of our own culture, the cultures of the students in our classrooms, and then we begin to develop specific knowledge regarding aspects of culture that affect ways in which we communicate and learn, then we're able to take best practice strategies like reciprocal teaching and cooperative learning and differentiated instruction and apply our cultural lens to make sure that our instruction is relevant to all students. So, we've just given you a real quick overview of the essentials of culturally responsive instruction. However, there's so much more to share on this topic, so I really encourage you to please visit our website. It's www.virtuosoed.com. There you can find many resources and professional development opportunities to meet your needs. We've got lots of resources that will begin to define differences in communication and behavior styles across cultures that will be helpful to you in your classroom. Thank you for watching, and we wish you much success on your journey to become more culturally responsive.